do bedspread and everything.
Check.
Puppy.
Not check.
Come on! Up, 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 up! Alright, check.
So today we're headed to the RV because it just got recently returned from one rental and it's going out for 10 days tomorrow, then it's coming back for 2 more days, and then it's going out for 3 weeks.
Camping season is here, baby!
And I just cannot believe it. It will always surprise me that people are interested in camping in Texas in June or July.
Yeah, worst times. But
Miserably hot.
it has a really big air conditioner on it, so, I mean, it makes sense.
True. And because we're having to go to the RV tonight to prep it for its rental tomorrow, we thought that this would be a perfect time to go over 4 of the things that we hate about RV sharing and renting out this 29-foot RV.
Now, typically, we don't pull our RV out of the spot whenever we are cleaning it, but for longer rentals, we definitely want to.
This allows for us to pull out the slide and make sure that the RV is properly clean. Which brings us to the very first thing that we hate about this RV. I guess hate is kind of a strong word. But
I hate cleaning.
Dislike about the RV, and that is cleaning and prepping it between each and every rental.
Now, typically, Aubrey and I will spend about 1 to 2 hours cleaning the RV between rentals.
Which, to be honest, isn't really that bad considering the fact that we're cleaning basically an apartment, but whenever we compare that to our Turo fleet, which takes maybe 15 to 20 minutes, it is significantly longer. But of course, whenever it comes to the RV fleet, the goal is to eventually get to the point where we're only doing longer term rentals, maybe 5 to 7 days, if not longer. So whenever you take longer rentals into account, cleaning the RV for 1 to 2 hours isn't that big of a deal. But where it becomes a real pain in the butt is whenever you have 2-3 day long rentals and you're still having to clean it for 1 to 2 hours. So by renting our RV out for longer trips, this will really solve this problem.
Which brings us to our next point. How long it takes to do the key exchanges whenever it goes out on a rental. So you wouldn't think that getting an RV would take that long really when you're just handing off keys, but you're having to teach them a little bit of everything. How to open up, where to find certain things in the cars, even setting up the actual hitch and jack and everything else. It does take a lot of time. Now we did implement these QR codes, which do save a lot of time when it comes to teaching them stuff, but really I like to use those as a reminder, not so much as a teaching moment.
And honestly, I have to give HP credit because whenever he did his first RV exchange, it took you probably like
an hour 45 minutes.
It took a long time, and now it's gone down to like less than an hour. Typically, he'll leave the house and he'll be back within an hour, which really isn't that bad.
Assuming they show up on time.
Yeah, which is a big assumption. And that brings us to our third complaint, which is just how much can go wrong during an RV rental.
There's just a lot that can go wrong with something like this. It's not only like a mechanical vehicle aspect, but it's also a homestead thing. So when you come over here and you look at this control panel, there's a lot of electrical stuff that goes into this thing. So there's a lot of breakers, a lot of different switches, and stuff that you kind of have to maintain. That's including things like the liquid propane system, the electrical, and even the plumbing stuff that's inside this thing. More importantly, the toilet. Like this toilet valve that ended up busting on a rental, it was after a really brief snap of cold, and we didn't really think to check something like a small toilet valve that could have gone wrong. One of my favorite things is things work until they don't, which is definitely the case for this RV right here. There's just a lot more things that cannot work.
And that brings us to our fourth and final thing that we hate about this 29-foot RV behind us, and that is the storage situation of how we have to keep the RV. You see, as you can see everywhere behind me, we are surrounded by RVs, trailers, and work trucks, and that's because where we keep the RV is at a RV and just trailer storage facility, which is great because it means that we don't have to have this massive RV parked in front of our house. We're able to keep it somewhere that is efficient to have it stored because this location has dump tanks, it has areas where we can clean the RV without impending on our neighbors. But the huge downside is the fact that we have to drive to this location anytime we want to clean the RV, do anything to the RV, or do a key exchange for the RV. Which, in a business like RV sharing, every time we go to this lot, it's money that's getting taken out of our pocket.
It's like stealing from ourselves. First time's a charm.
But to be honest, I would much rather store the RV at a dedicated RV storage facility than have it parked in front of our house, which is really the only alternative.
But despite these 4 things we don't like, overall our experience has been pretty positive. Yeah!
And I know that for me personally, I think that RV sharing is one of those things that it just gets easier as time goes on, because the first 5 to 6 months you're trying to work out your processes, you're trying to fix any issues, and you're trying to get the hang of it. And from then on out, you can then implement what you've learned in order to make it easier, smoother, and just more profitable.
But guys, as always, be sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe, and hit that notification bell, and we'll see you on the next episode.